Swim, run. Have you heard of it? Have you considered it? Is it something that is not even close to being on your radar because you're asking yourself the question of what even is a triathlon? Well, check it out. I've got Chip Nicodemus from the Löw Tide Böyz on the show today, and we are going to get into swim run and the sport and its emergence and its growth and what can we learn from trail running over the last few years that can be applied to swim run to watch that sport elevate and grow. So I'm your host, Jason Bahamundi. Thank you for tuning in on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network to the latest episode of Fireside Chat. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I'll hand out gold stars to you if you subscribe, rate, review, and comment on this episode on your favorite podcast platform and or YouTube. We'll take both, honestly, so don't hesitate to do both. So without any further ado, let's bring Chip on the show and let's have a great conversation. Chip, how are you?
How's it going, Jason? I'm doing quite well. I actually just got back from Bellingham, Washington. Did a swim run Bellingham on Sunday.
That's fantastic. For all of you, because you don't know, Chip and I spoke a few months ago. We talked about how I lived in Seattle at one point and how he was heading up to Bellingham. So that's why he's mentioning it to me today. So we're giving you a little bit of the behind the scenes. Chip, I love to start the show with a simple question that is typically not so simple for my guests to answer. And that is, who is Chip Nicodemus?
Wow. That's, yeah, I see that is a simple question, but that's it's quite a curveball. I would say, and kind of what we say on the show a lot on Löw Tide Böyz, we are just a couple of dads going out there, running around and having fun. And that's really who I am. And my swim run partner, Chris, swim run is a partner sport. Chris couldn't be here tonight, but we're both dads. We each have 2 kids and we're basically neighbors. So we're like perfect training partners. But at the end of the day, we're a couple of dads who are trying to set a good example for our kids and, being active and getting them outdoors, I guess.
I love the idea that you started with dads because it gives insight for our audience into who you are, right? Because you could have led with, I played baseball in high school, so I'm a former baseball player, or any other things that you do, not who you are. So I love it when I hear people say, here's who I am, and I'm a dad who loves to run and have fun. So that's pretty cool. You mentioned that you and Chris are teammates. And so I want to ask you, because you did play baseball at a young age, where you would have at least 8 other players on the field with you, right? And then some on the bench to support the team in whatever way they could help support the team. So now you're on a team of 2. Like, what are the parallels between being on a team in baseball and being on a team in swim run?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, the team aspect for swim run is the best part about it, in my opinion. For me, it's really a 1 + 1 = 3 situation. I know that doesn't check out on the math front, but when Chris and I race together as a team, he can get more out of me than I can just get solo. So, as you're doing a race or any endurance thing, whether it be a triathlon, trail run, or swim run, there's going to be those highs and lows and ebbs and flows of it. And you have to really be there for your partner when they're having a tough moment and you're feeling really good. The shoe's going to be on the other foot at some point. Hopefully you're not both low at the same time, but it's really, how do you work together to problem solve as quickly as you can and kind of move through the course as quickly as you can. And that's really kind of the team aspect that makes this shared experience of doing a swim run such a great time. Whether it's been, hey, I've known Chris, my partner, since we were triathlon training partners back 10 years ago, to I've done races that I've done a race in France and the guy knew no English and we did a race together, but it's a shared experience and you both did it together and you had to rely and count on one another to get from point A to point B.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So I'm going to hit the rewind button for a second because you mentioned the course. And so for our audience, I'm going to presume, and for those of you who do know the answer to this question, put it in the comments when you hear the episode. Like, what is a course like for swim run standard? Because I'm sure they're different depending on where you're racing, but like, what's the typical course? What's the standard course?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really, there is no standard course. So if you're a triathlete, hey, you got your 1.2K swim, your 42K bike, and then your half marathon at the end. There's no set course like that for a swim run because it's so dependent on what nature gives you, what the terrain is. So if you're doing, a race in Austin, Texas, you might be swimming in and out of the Colorado River. So there's no way you could say, oh, we have to have a 500-yard swim here and then a mile. You just got to make do with what it gives you. But there is different distances. So the World Series distance is about 40 to 42 kilometers total. So those are the kind of the big races. That would be, I would say, kind of your half Ironman. That'll take people 4 hours to 6-7 hours. Then they have about a 20K version called the sprint distance. So that's the middle distance. That's going to be around that 20K. And then they have actually a third distance, which is called experience. And it is really just that. It is an experience, and that one's going to be somewhere between 8 to 10K. So for those kind of first timers or people who aren't as used to doing a swim run, you get to do a couple swim legs and a couple run legs and kind of get the feel for it, all within an hour to 90 minutes of fun.
And the course is multiple swim legs and multiple run legs, correct?
Yeah. So it's different than a triathlon. Obviously, you come in from the swim, you're all done swimming, go to your bike, then you're all done on the bike. A swim run, you're actually moving and alternating continuously over the course. So, I'll just say back to this Bellingham swim run that I did. The first run was maybe 0.3 miles. And then that swim was about a 700-meter swim. And then we went on a 3.5-mile run. And then the next swim after that was about 400 meters. So you get all sorts of distances varying there, but overall about 20% of the course is usually swimming distance combined. And then the rest is running.
So like with triathlon, right? The bike leg is always going to be the longest. You're going to spend the most time on your bike. Obviously here, you're going to be spending the most time on the run, I presume, because it's 80% of the course. Yep. So when you're looking at training, I know for me, like during Ironman years, like I'd be on the bike for, it felt like days on end.
Yes.
So like, is the focus a lot on the running part of it, or is there an equal emphasis on swimming? And I want to say this for our audience, which is probably predominantly runners, that swimming is very form focused. And so it is really easy to fall out of form if you're not practicing swimming. It's like a golf swing. And so I wonder what the balance is like for an athlete who's doing swim run.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, maybe my personal kind of training approach, thinking back to my triathlon days, I was always one of these like, hey, I need to swim 2 days a week to be good, to just check the box. That was kind of my swimming style. Yes. Honestly, in my first few swim runs, we got rocked pretty hard on some of the swims, and that really changed how we train. We're like, our number one advice to first timers is you do have to take the swimming seriously. Because you also are swimming with paddles. You could see them behind me. So carbon fiber paddles are like the coolest new thing in swim run, but you are doing a lot of paddles and you have a pull buoy. So a lot of upper body shoulder work. So it does take time in the pool, 3-4 sessions a week of good swim fitness is really going to take you a long way in the race. And then obviously, yes, there is running there. So I would say, if I'm trying to think like total hours, I'm probably at a 65-35 split between 65% of that being running, about 35 swimming there. And then, your strength, mobility, stretching, all that kind of stuff as well.
Are you still riding the bike?
I divested in carbon fiber after my second kid. But we do have a Peloton that I'll jump on, and sometimes during the winter just ride around. But they only have e-bikes now to take the kids around town.
So what did you do with all that free time that you're no longer spending cycling during
Exactly. Yes, I'm in the pool. I'm in the pool now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You mentioned carbon fiber paddles, which you showed behind you. So for those of you who are listening, head over to YouTube and you can see the paddles that are behind Chip. Is that a relatively new creation for the sport? And does that tie into when carbon plated shoes came out, or was it a little bit later because people were like, oh, we could use carbon fiber for paddles too?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, the sport of swim run is still relatively new, especially when you're comparing it to triathlon that's been around for, 40, 50 years now. Swim run's, maybe 15 years old total. It originated in Sweden. You'll see all my swim run memorabilia on the YouTube channel there. And so it's relatively a more of a niche sport. And because of that, the gear, there isn't tons of swim run wetsuit gear out there. So there's been a lot of evolution in the last, 8 years or so about the equipment. And some of that is on the paddle front. I think when you're thinking, oh, the stroke makers that you used back in college or, that you're using at the pool now, actually, surprisingly, those have a lot of give on them. And carbon fiber is not, you're just pulling as much water as you can during your pull phase of your stroke, which really helps give you kind of that free speed there. Because you are doing the swim run you're swimming with your shoes on and you're running in a wetsuit. So there is a lot of drag that's happening, and your partner is on the back of you as well. So you're pulling yourself, you're pulling your partner, you're pulling your shoes. So you do need to have, as much kind of forward propulsion as you can, which I think is why the carbon fiber swim paddles came out.
Every member of the audience is like, so wait a minute, you guys aren't swimming next to each other? So they're actually, your partner's kind of drafting off of you, saving energy? Is that the concept?
Exactly. And this originated, you're actually tied together with a tether. So it's a 3-meter rope. It's like a bungee cord. And it was originally done for safety. And now it's kind of more of a tactical thing as a team. But yeah, very similar to drafting when you're on the bike. You kind of get right behind there and you do get a solid recovery back there. You're not doing as much work. You don't have to, pop up and do a lot of sighting and navigating. So it's a good time to get some recovery. So that kind of plays into tactics as well, which is cool during the race of like who's going to lead the swim, depending on, who's feeling fresh.
So that was going to be my next question. So as you and Chris head into the race, are you sitting down like, okay, leg one is X distance, I need you to lead, and then I'll come around. And then while you're racing, I have to imagine that there's pivoting going on because you get tired, right? Like there's an assumption I'm going to be fresh for this leg, but you get to that leg and it's like, look, I'm going to need you to pull this time and right? So like walk us through
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love this kind of stuff. But yeah, like the night before the race, we literally write on the paddles, like, run one is this, and we write the distance out. We kind of follow along on the map to, edge it into your brain a little bit more. And then normally I do lead most of the swims that we have, but we'll also kind of mark out certain strategies during the race about, oh, hey, we have a 4-mile section here. This might be a good time to try to put some pace down to try to get some speed or make sure we're really fueling here at the aid station. So kind of having a loose game plan before we go into the race. And then exactly what you said, it's we always joke about swim run. It's not when something, if something goes wrong, it's like when something's going to go wrong. You're out there. It's a very adventurous sport. You could be having one of those lows, or maybe you're just not feeling it. And hey, Chris, you got to take these next couple swims. I just need to recover off the back a little bit, or we got to slow the pace down. So there is, every solid plan goes by the wayside rather quickly. But yeah, we do have kind of a plan that we go in with, and 9 times out of 10, it's not going exactly to that plan, but that's part of the fun of it too.
So you said that there are aid stations, and I presume they're only on the run. There aren't kayaks that are food during on the swim. Okay.
Yeah.
And so go ahead.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, it's not a full set. I would say it's more trail run-esque. There's some regular foods there. There might just be a big bucket of water and a couple gels on the table. It's not overly luxurious. So we tend to kind of bring all the gels that we need with us so we can kind of be as self-sufficient as possible.
Where are you carrying the gels?
Yeah. So they make these specially designed tops. It's called a kangaroo top, and there's different pouches in them. And some of these swimrun wetsuits have pockets in them as well. So in the back, there might be a pocket, but the precision fuel and hydration, we love they have the 90 gel that looks like a baby food pouch size for the World Championship race that we did. I had 12 of those loaded up on me. I looked like I was like pregnant because I had so many stuffed in my suit, but I wanted to make sure I had enough fuel to get me through that race, which is a beast.
And that one is the 4 to 6
That's the World Championship. Yeah, that one's 70 kilometers total. Okay. So that one takes us about 10 and a half hours. It's in September.
So do you have to qualify for the World Championships, and what's that like?
Yeah. So racing the World Series distance races Löw, which in Swedish means island to island. And so that's the Ironman brand essentially of swimrun races. So they have 4 races in the United States, and then they have plenty of races in Europe, Sweden, Switzerland. There's a lot in UK and France as well. And then, doing that World Series distance. So those like 40K ones, you do earn points. And then, you submit the application to get in to the World Championship, which is the first Monday in September.
So it'll be here soon. Are you guys racing this year?
We are racing this year. Yeah, this will be our 3rd time. We raced in 2022 and 2023, and then this year we're going back for our 3rd time. It's also the 20th anniversary of Löw, the Swimrun World Championship. So, and like any good sport, it started as a drunken bet, and now it's a World Championship.
Does it always take place in Sweden? Is the World Championships always in Sweden? Same course?
Yeah,
every
actually,
year?
This plate behind me is the course. So you're out on the Stockholm Archipelago, and you start at an island called Sontom, and you go across 26 different islands to finish at Uto, the island of Uto. And so that's about 70 kilometers, 10K total swimming, and then the rest running across 26 islands.
That's amazing.
It is an amazing day.
When you got into endurance sports, was running the first sport, cycling the first sport, swimming the first sport? What was the first sport?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I played baseball. Me and my family were baseball kids. And ever since I was in kindergarten through junior college, I played baseball. And once I stopped playing baseball, I kind of did what every other college kid did. I just started drinking beer and not working out. Pretty soon I was not looking the way that I was normally, certainly wasn't living a very healthy lifestyle. And that kind of got me, into, hey, I should run, and let me just start running to better for my health, essentially. I kind of started running, and I tend to go into things very, both feet and right into the deep end. And, 6 months later, I'm running a marathon, and someone's like, oh, you should get a bike to do some cross training. I'm like, okay. I'm like, wait, if I have a bike and I'm running, I'll just start doing triathlons. And, and here we are.
So was Boston and or Kona ever one of those goals that you had in your mind?
No, I was never a super fast guy. And for me, running was always like discipline. So in baseball, if I was, talking in practice or had a bad outing, hey, you got to Nicodemus, go run some laps. And so running was never something that I sought to do for fun. It was always punishment upon me. So I was never a really fast person, but it was just sort of like, can I run a marathon? Is that even possible? And literally the first run I went out for, and this is now almost 15 years ago, I couldn't even make it a mile. I had to stop to walk because I couldn't even make it a couple blocks to make a mile. And then, next day woke up and let me try to do a little bit more and just kind of keep stacking that consistency and keep up on it. And that's really what helped it all go along.
You said had a bad outing, so you were a starting pitcher then?
I was a starting pitcher. I didn't actually have too many bad outings. It was mostly running my mouth at practice.
So the reason why I bring it up is because now I can see why the whole strategy thing plays into your
Yeah.
mindset when it comes to the swim run, because as a pitcher, it's strategy, right? Where am I throwing it? What pitch am I throwing? And you
Yep.
work with a teammate, the catcher, right, in that scenario.
Exactly.
And so it seems like a natural progression to have gotten here. It may have taken you longer than you expected, but you know, it is what it is.
Totally. Yeah, I always love team sports. Yeah, you know, kind of the whole win as a team mentality, and you know, whether that be at work, like leading a team, or you know, baseball. I also wrestled, and then now swim run as well. Very team kind of centric, and that's just really helps motivate me to kind of like get everyone across the line is really motivating for
I'm
me.
going to get back to the World Championships in a second, but if you can think back to those times when you were pitching and catcher would call for a curveball and you would shake them off because you're like, no, I want to throw the fastball here. Like, I've been getting this guy out with fastballs all day long. The catcher just keeps calling for a curveball. You finally throw the curveball and the guy hits a double. Like, when you're working with Chris, right, do those moments happen, and how do you resolve those moments where, you know, it's like, look, we got to go harder, and it's no, I think we need to lay back and then go harder, and maybe somebody passes you. Like, how do you work that out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one, we're really past our, you know, we're in our post triathlon phase right now. So we're not as quite tuned and like razor sharp and like we got to go as we once were. I'm
you
sure.
guys are type A-.
Yeah, it's probably more of a B+ now these days. And swim run is not very conducive to like a super type A mindset. I mean, the race director would be like, oh yeah, like we think the run's going to be 1.5 miles, and it could be 1.25 miles, it could be 2 miles. Like, you just got to go with the flow and figure it out. So you can't be, but it is more those type of, I guess, disagreements is like, oh, did you see a flag, or where's this swim? And it's like, we kind of pause, we deliberately like slow things down to make a good decision, then like speed through and take a bad decision. So it might be, oh, I think you should have turned that way, or you know, let's try to go a little bit harder here. We're trying to slow down to like make the best decision that we can with all the info that we have at that time.
Which athlete is more likely to be successful at swim run, the triathlete or the trail runner?
That it depends if the trail runner can swim.
Can swim? I realized as I asked the question, I was like, I probably should have put a caveat in.
I will say both. I think I see a lot of trail running in swim run, mostly around kind of the laid back nature of most of the races, very casual. The swim run community is the best community that I have ever been a part of. It's very accessible and approachable and diverse. And, you know, there's people that are coming in, you know, dead last that are just like, wow, I just did that 10K swim run. I can't believe I did that. Everyone's high-fiving them. And then there's the people that, you know, still are running as hard as they can and they finished in their first place. Everyone's equally excited for them. And I see a lot of that kind of in the trail running community as well. Also, it exists obviously in triathlon there, but you know, triathletes are certainly very fit, and you're already doing you're already doing the sports. Right. It's really kind of like, can you are you open to like a sense of adventure, and you know, are you looking for a sense of adventure and some other very unique way to really express your level of fitness that doesn't involve you like me being an arrow and like, how fast can I mash for like 4 hours?
Watts per kilogram measurements.
Yeah, exactly. Throw all that out of your head.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the World Championship concept. So Boston wasn't a thing. Kona wasn't a thing. So when you and Chris start competing, and you said 2022 was your first year at the World Championships, like when you first got into the sport, were the World Championships on the radar for you guys? Was it something you even considered?
No, certainly not. I mean, how we got into swim run was that Chris and I were just training partners, and we loved going and doing a 6-hour bike ride and just, you know, shooting the shit the whole time, talking, getting the bakery stop and the coffee, you know, we just like hanging out and being training buddies. And when our kids were born and we various ages of fitness or lack of fitness there, would be like, hey, I'm going to go do, a 50K. You want to just do it with me? And we would just kind of join and we would just do the races together. We were just wanting to be out there and hang out. And that's really why Swimrun was so cool, is like, hey, we can do the same event and be on the same team together and have fun. So we weren't really trying to qualify or do any of that, but this race in particular, Tala, is like the original Swimrun. It's the first one and the original one that they made. So yes, it's the World Championship, but it's also like, if you're into Swimrun, which obviously we're very into Swimrun,
right?
It's like it's the holy land, so to speak.
So at what point did you start to think and talk to each other about, I think we might be able to get into the World Championships?
Yeah, so we had done, there's not a ton of swim runs in the United States.
Right.
There's about 10 to 12 a year, mostly in the summer months. You're talking, May through November throughout the United States. We live in California. And so there's not a ton of these to do. And we did one that was on Catalina Island in 2020. This is like, it literally happened 2 weeks before COVID hit the United States. And this was really big because the Swedish organization, came across the United States as their first US swim run. Very exciting time. And we did that one and we got whooped. Like, it was tough and we were shelled after. And that kind of like awoken something in Chris and I. He actually was drafted as a baseball player. We're very competitive people, but that experience, we were like, we know we can be better athletes than what we kind of like showed up. And that kind of like flicked the switch in us as the Löw Tide Böyz of like, okay, we're going to get serious. So we got coaches and we really started being consistent with our training. And with that, obviously, we started getting faster. And I think we started feeling more comfortable of like, oh, wow, we actually can do the 10K of swimming. We could do this ultra distance, 70-kilometer event. And like, we think we're, quote unquote, ready for it. Obviously, newsflash, we were not. But it was that as we kind of gained more fitness, we gained more confidence that we could at least go there and not totally embarrass ourselves.
So what was the feeling like when you got into that first World Championship in 22? Because that's only 2 years. Like, that's not a long period of time. That's a short period of time.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, we're really excited, and we have our podcast, which is all about Swimrun there. So there was kind of like that aspect of chronicling our journey from, our original team name was Team Dad Bod to the Löw Tide Böyz. And so that's how that sort of evolution happened. But I mean, we just were really excited and dedicated to like, we want to show up and we know this race demands respect. I mean, I think it's pretty routinely, top 10 most challenging single day, like endurance event type of rankings by whatever outdoor magazine or whatever magazine you want to read. But we knew it demands respect, and we wanted to make sure we were in good enough shape to like give it that respect and like have a decent time out there and not be suffering all the way through it.
So it wasn't like, so for me, like I've said this, that if I ever qualified for Boston, that I wouldn't go there to try to qualify for Boston again. I would go and I would enjoy my time running the course.
100%.
So, but for you, was it more of like, we need to perform because we are competitive. We want to show up, and after what would happen to it. And again, 2020 to 2022 is a short period of time. So I would imagine there's some lingering thoughts from 2020 and being like, yeah, we don't want to see that happen again. So we have to perform well.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly dedicated ourselves to that training. But just like what you said, Jason, the race was like going to be us at Disneyland. Like, that was going to be the day to have fun and just enjoy it. And we did not care what time we got. Like, that was us going to Disneyland, and like, we're doing the original swim run. We're out here it's a very international race, obviously in Europe. And it was just such a cool experience to be there and to do the race. It really was a great time. Does
the mindset change when you go back in 23?
like, it's one of those things where you finish it and you're like, oh man, ask me tomorrow if I want to do it again. And then you kind of start thinking like, okay, if I did this thing a little bit different and this a little bit different, but I mean, it's an ultra, it's an ultra distance event being at 70 kilometers. And I think the way that we prepare takes a lot of dedication, certainly a lot of sacrifice by our families. We each have our own families and work and everything there. It's like, it's a lot to get two people to like dedicate their entire summer. We basically trained for like 12 months straight for that. So it was like, okay, we can do this. We're going to invest this amount of time to it there. But yeah, certainly it felt a little bit more familiar in 23. When we went back, it was like, oh, I remember this part. I remember this part. But it was still equally as fun.
Not saying that it's not fun, but in a couple of months, you'll be towing the starting line again.
Yes.
Is the idea like we're going to have fun, but we're going to ball out as well?
Yeah, I think this is, Chris, my partner, he's 10 years older than me. So I'm the young kid, but I'm not really a kid either. So we're, this is kind of where we feel like, yeah, we're putting another good block in, and yeah, we do want to see if we can go for one of our faster times, but we don't try to be super hung up on like this time versus that time, because it is such a, the weather shifts one way or the other could totally throw something. But, I think both years that we did it, I bonked pretty epically on 22. Chris ran into a tree and actually got impaled in his hip.
Oh,
so
wow.
We each kind of had 1 year that we didn't have, we know there was more for us to kind of have out there. And that's what we're trying to get through this year.
I appreciate that answer too, because, right, like I know when people are trying to compare events 1 year to the next, it's the same event. And it's like, yeah, but the weather is totally different. Your training was totally different. Life is totally different. And so I appreciate the answer to that, because your approach to the sport is, look, if I don't bonk and Chris doesn't impale his leg, it's going to be a better race, period.
Yeah.
Like, and that's
Totally.
cool.
Yeah. And that's honestly what's so great about Swimrun, because of the diversity of the courses. No, it's not like, oh, I did the swim run in Orcas Island and in Texas, and I can say like, Jason, what time did you get on this? You can't, there's no measuring stick there. So it kind of strips away all of this stuff that, in my experience was kind of like triathlon, like, oh, what was your bike split at this?
Yeah.
And what was your run split here? That just isn't even a possibility to compare in swim run. So it kind of takes away all that stuff, and it brings a little bit more of like, wow, you did the thing versus like, oh, how fast did you do this section of it type of stuff.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of trail running, right? So I've raced Western States and I've raced Rocky Raccoon, and they're both have 100-mile distance, but one you climb 28,000 feet and one you climb 6,500
exactly.
feet. Like
yeah, exactly.
So I want to get into the conversation about swim, run, and triathlon here in a second. But before we do that, I want to get into Löw Tide Böyz, how it got started, why you got started, why you do it. So give us a little background on the podcast and why it's important for you guys to do it.
Yeah. So like all good things, it started as an idea in my garage with Chris. This was pre-COVID. Again, we lived in San Francisco previously, and we were training partners there. This is about 10, 12 years ago. I've since moved to Marin County. Chris moved up a couple of years after, so we're basically neighbors. And we were signed up for this Catalina race, and we were Chris, former president of the Golden Gate Triathlon Club in San Francisco, the biggest triathlon club there. And everyone knew that we were doing the Catalina race, and they were like, what's with the gear, the buoy, you run with your shoes and all this stuff. And I had a podcast gear already, and I had experience in that. And I said, let's just record a couple episodes like Swimrun 101, like what is it? So we can stop repeating ourselves to our friends and just have them watch the show. So we like our first episode was in 2019 in December sometime. And almost immediately we started getting like a lot relative to, in the swimrun community, a lot of interest from people like in Sweden, like, oh, swimrun podcast in the United States. Like, wow, this is really something. So we had the podcast. That was a weekly thing that we started doing, is really like, hey, here's how we're training for Catalina. Honestly, and it continues to be this to this day, it's the most self-serving show out there, because we will bring people on. How do you do this course? Tell us about the course. What are you doing? We're asking them because we didn't know anything either. So the podcast is and was like very much us trying to educate ourselves. So, hey, talking to, oh, you've done 6 swim runs? We've done 2. So tell us, like, what do we need to know? And this, so it really became this kind of journey for us on our journey to that Catalina race. And then literally a week after the race in Catalina, COVID happened, everything shut down, and we just kept going on the podcast. And we would get a lot of, the swimrun community. People are like, I love swimrun, and this is the only thing out there to listen to or engage with swimrun because everything is closed down. And so that was the podcast, or that is the podcast. So now we're just recorded episode 339 today. So six plus years later. And yeah, we're still going strong. We've have a YouTube presence now. We do also a lot of like beginner content, how to set your pool buoy up. What about all the gear? Because we continue to get a lot of the kind of same questions, but the community is just so nice. And we go out to these races and people are, hey, I watched your video and you helped me set this up. And it just fills our cup up with gratitude and like fuels us for another 20, 30, 40 episodes. But it is really a great time, and the community is so amazing. It's why we keep it going.
I was going to ask that, over the course of 6+ years, you've probably gotten the same question hundreds of times. And so do you get tired of answering the question, or are you excited that somebody else is answering the question because it's another person coming into swim run that wasn't there previously?
Yeah, very much the latter. And probably the number one question we get is like, how do you not get blisters during the run? Because they think, hey, you have socks and they're going to be wet.
Moisture, right?
And there's the answer is you don't get blisters. It just doesn't happen. So it's like, the most uneventful answer to the question, but very much to your point, it's like, hey, somebody's interested, and we kind of see sometimes a journey about, oh, they'll send us the email, and then a couple months later, oh, I listened to 50 episodes and like, here's my take on this. And then they join the Patreon, or like, okay, they're in deep. Hey, can I get a hat? So we see the journey. We see the journey.
I love it. So I'm going to, as a non-participant in the sport of swim run.
Yeah.
But I do run trail, and during long ultra races on the trail, I will wear toe socks with another Dry Max sock over it to prevent the blisters, and then just have cushioning. So with swim run, is it conducive to have toe socks while you're in there so you don't get blisters, or does it matter?
No, we just use we use CEP compression synthetic sock, and are not a scientist here or anything, but because you're not continually running and you are taking time off the feet when you're swimming, the like constant friction that you get with running just kind of doesn't happen. And the socks are very fitted, and the shoes are pretty tight, and you're wearing shoes that they're just trail shoes, but they're not, it's not like they have tons of material, but so they drain water very well. So there's just not a lot of slippage happening like over those 4 hours like there is in a trail run, because you are getting those breaks on your feet, which also is a godsend for your legs as well.
What's harder to take off, the wetsuit or the compression socks when the race is over?
Getting the ankle chip out from we wear knee-high socks too, and it's like pulling that thing down. I need like crowbar in there to get. So yeah, the knee-high socks for sure.
It's funny because I just ran and I wore a pair of CEPs this afternoon while I run, and like I came home into our apartment and I tried to take off my socks. I was like, I'll wait. It's just too tired to try to do this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
With we talked about this in the green room a little bit, and I want to prep our audience. We are recording this on Tuesday. Western States just happened. Course records broken all over the place. Tuesday, June 30th. we're recording this. Course records broken all over the place. A few months ago, Rachel Entricken just absolutely obliterates the course record at Cocodona. And so there is a lot of hype and conversation in the sport of trail and ultra running. And you can see it by numbers that the sport is growing. It was nascent years ago, just like swim run is nascent. So what will it take, do you think, to get the eyeballs that trail running is getting today on swim run? Is it going to take a record smash at the World Championships at Attilo? What do you think it would take to get that kind of audience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually in 22, there was an incredible record smashing course record at Attila there. And it was certainly a big deal in the swim run community. But, this is a question that Chris and I and a lot of folks in the swim run have kind of asked of like, why we love the sport so much. It's such a great sport. Like, why isn't everyone kind of into it and doing it? And what we kind of feel like is that it is a more of an adventuresome kind of sport. So it sort of takes a certain kind of mindset or mentality to like think like, oh yeah, I want to go kind of like traverse across nature, as opposed to like, oh, I'm going to go run a half marathon out on the road. Like those are a little bit too far for people to bridge sometimes. But honestly, it's just like, we say our job on the podcast is to just get you feeling prepared at the start line. And once you do your first run to swim transition and swim to run, like that's the selling point and you're hooked on it. Our goal is to like just get the awareness up for you to get in there and, you have the confidence that you can go do this really fun event. So it honestly seems a little bit of an awareness problem. And the fact that there's just not a wealth of races that, hey, anyone can just go on and there's 2 or 3 local swim runs that they can go do in their hometown and go try it out. They're amazing races in amazing places. And sometimes those places do take a little bit of travel for you to get out there. There's a great one in the Orcas Island up in the San Juan Islands in Washington State. But, even from coming from California, that was like almost a full day of travel just to like get out there to like do the race. So there is a little bit of that happening as well. But it is amazing. And, there's not many people that do one swim run and done. They're pretty hooked once they've done it.
You might, and when I say might, I mean will, get an email from me because we've just moved to Phoenix. And as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, Lake Pleasant has trails around it, and that could be a place where I could just kind of set the stage for myself and run from one part of where we typically go practice swim and cross the area a little bit, get on the trail that's right there, run and get back in the water and just kind of do kind of make it up, right? Like because there's no set distances, make it up. But I wonder if like just doing that and putting it on our platform might help bring attention to the sport, because I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly is a ton of fun. And yeah, we're really trying to be very supportive. Attila is the biggest swim run race directing organization, but these smaller local race directors that put this on, Bellingham Swim Run is one. Folsom Swim Run in California, in Northern California is one that's put on by Total Body Fitness. They do like 40 endurance events a year, and they've been doing it for 20 years. Mountain bike, triathlon, open water swimming, just a little bit of everything. But they put on a swim run as well, and that's one of our favorite local ones to go to. So, yeah, I mean, the more that people kind of have this experience, the more kind of demand there will be. We have seen some race directors that are doing a triathlon like, oh, I'm going to just do a swim run and it's going to be like the swim and then a run. Like it's not the same as an aquathon. It's like more of a course, more of an experience and kind of point to A to B thing versus like a circuit type of thing. But swim run is starting to develop in a lot of different interesting flavors, like the eliminator style. Obviously, there's kind of your point to point. And then, some of them are doing these like really fast circuit where there's different heats and you're kind of doing a race that might be 1.5 kilometers total, but you're doing a couple different heats over the day. So a lot of people are kind of rethinking how you can do this sport.
Outside of Löw Tide Böyz, who are some of the, we'll call them influencers in the sport that we should follow? I mean, Attila would be one of them. I presume you have an Instagram page, but are there others that we could put in the show notes for people to start following and getting informed of the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. So someone that we've partnered with for a while is called Wild Swimrun, Wild, W-I-L-D. It's an organization by women focused specifically on getting women into swimrun. And they do camps and they have ambassadors in the United States, but we love partnering with them for any of our events because, again, they're just very accessible, very beginner friendly. I mean, some of their camps, there's people that have never done open water swimming and are really just, very fearful of that. And then by the end of the camp, they're doing their own little swim run circuit there. So Wild Swimrun is certainly somebody that I would say seek out, especially if you're a female athlete, to get into swimrun. Super welcoming committee there.
Awesome. And I would also throw in, because you and I got connected to each other through William Perry at Form Swim. So make sure you follow Form Swim as well.
Of course.
And so when you get into the sport of swim run, pick up their goggles or participate in our giveaway, which we do once a month, and you can get a free pair of goggles from Form Swim for them. So I would throw those in.
I love my Form goggles.
Yeah. I mean, I tell this to William every time we talk. Like if I was using, if Form was something I would have had years ago when I was racing Ironman, I would have been so much faster because I wouldn't have been as exhausted on the bike and run because I would have been able to use their Swim Straight app to find the buoys. So instead of swimming Z's, I would have swam I's, right? I would have straight points.
That's a thing in swim run for sure. No bonus swimming. Minimize the bonus swimming that we can give on going crooked. As straight as you can do it, it's the fastest way.
I tell you. Chip, I have kept you for 45-ish minutes, so I want to be cognizant of how much time we have left. And I love talking to athletes, specifically endurance athletes, about food, because we always talk about how important food is. But my take on the importance of food is not like how many macros of carbs and all of that stuff you're doing, but are you doing what your mother, are you doing the opposite of what your mother told you, which was not to play with your food? I want to know how you're playing with your food, okay? So my first question to you is pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
I'd mess with that. I'm vegetarian, but yeah, I'll totally do pineapple on pizza.
Straight pineapple then as a vegetarian. You don't because you're not putting Canadian bacon on there.
Yeah, no meat products on there, but I will say it's got to be, there's a quality bar there. It can't be canned. It's got to be good quality, like fresh pineapple. So quality ingredients, I guess, is my answer for that one.
You might be one of the very few people on this show who has ever said, I like pineapple on pizza, and specifically pineapple, because they usually give the answer of with ham or jalapenos or pepperoni. And I'm like, so you don't really like pineapple on pizza. You like the combination of all that shit. You don't just like pineapple on pizza.
I mean, I'm not ordering pineapple cheese pizza on a regular basis, but if it's on there, I'll just eat it. Yeah.
So what are the go-to toppings for you then?
Oh, I'm pretty easy. I'll go margarita. Or I do like a nice mushroom, fungi, kind of white sauce type of pizza. But I'm particular to the sourdough crust. We have a couple good sourdough, like wood-fired type of pizza places over here in Marin.
I'm vegetarian as well, and so mushroom spinach on a white pizza is king for me. Absolutely king. Next time you're in Seattle, there is a joint called Bambino's. It's on 4th and Cedar, and it's all wood fired, and they make a pizza that has mushrooms and Calabrian chilies and some truffle oil. And Chip, it was a half a block away from my apartment. Every Friday I was there.
That's trouble.
To the point where I would walk in and they would be like, Jason, here you go, right? Like, 'cause they just knew me. Every Friday I would be walking in there. So,
I'd be ordering that pizza. That sounds amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. Okay. Your favorite non-chocolate candy is?
I'll go the Nerds Gummies Clusters. Those are very good.
Those are very good.
Yeah.
Your Was your affinity for those before or after their popularity has gained in the running scene?
I don't know. My son started really being into them, and I'm like, dad tax on these, and I'm like, ooh, these are tasty. I always like nerds, but the combination.
Yeah.
But then I actually don't use them. I do trail running as well, and I don't use them too much on trail races. But if they're there at an aid station, I'll grab a handful just for good measure.
I agree. Your favorite chocolate candy is?
Oh, the Tony's Chocolonely chocolate bar is pretty good, and that's one of my wife's things that she likes to have in stock.
So is that the
But
husband tax there now too?
yeah, yeah. So I take a little husband tax on that. But my brother-in-law is Dutch, and they have I'm not going to even try to pronounce it, but they basically have these. It's like a box of chocolate sprinkles, and you put it on toast, and that's like a nice treat that I like. So it's chocolate sprinkles, the dark chocolate one specifically.
And does the chocolate then melts on the toast because it's warm?
Yeah, so you put the toast on the butter, or you could do peanut butter, then the chocolate sprinkles, then you toast it, so they're kind of like a little bit melty already.
Oh.
I think I'll probably make a slice right after this.
Your favorite flavor of ice cream is?
Oh, yep. I'm kind of a cookies and cream, cookie dough, one of those two. Keep it simple.
Is there a particular brand? You're up in the close to the Pacific Northwest, so is Tillamook in the running?
Tillamook does make. They know their way. They know how to work dairy for sure. Ben and Jerry's, you can't really go wrong with that. From being from the Bay Area as well. Yep. So I'll go one of those two.
Fantastic. Cake. Are you a cake guy? And if so, your favorite type of cake, flavor of cake?
I'm more of a pie guy, but I like I do like my wedding cake was actually funfetti.
Very cool. So I asked this question, and I'll ask a pie question in a second. Is red velvet cake a real flavor, or is it just chocolate cake dressed up to go to the prom?
I think it's a real flavor because it also exists as the cupcake. I know those are very popular cupcakes as well. I'm not into chocolatey cakes, actually.
Gotcha. All right, pie. Favorite flavor of pie?
Apple Dutch. With the crumble strudel on top. Yeah.
Are you putting a vanilla ice cream over top of that?
I'll put some ice cream on there, sure, if it's around. I don't need it, but if it's there, I'll do that, or some whipped cream or something.
What's your take on key lime pie or lemon meringue pie?
There's a time and a place for that type of thing, but not on a regular basis.
I'm an acidic guy. Like I could eat that every day. I just love citrus fruits. So that's always, if I can pucker my lips while eating it, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah. I mean, lemon meringue's pretty tasty for sure.
Last question for you. A tray of brownies has come out of the oven. It's sit on the counter long enough that you can actually cut it without making a mess. Are you going to the corner, the edge, or to the center for just corner, period? I'm good. Yeah.
I need the crust. I like the crust on there.
Is it the same for lasagna?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely a burnt cheese type of person as well. And Chicago style or Detroit style pizza is like one of my favorite pizzas, and that has a lot of cheese skirt crust situation on it as well.
I'm a New Yorker, so I don't talk about the stuff from Chicago. But Detroit, I got turned on to Detroit about 6 years ago. And I got to tell you, it's phenomenal. You got the cheese, like you said, coming up the edge. Like you can't beat that.
Yeah, I do a version of that in a cast iron, like in a 10-inch Lodge cast iron. Makes everyone's happy when I'm cooking that. So,
if you like burnt stuff, how do you prepare your s'mores? Are you charcoaling the marshmallow, or are you just lightly toasting it?
Yeah, I need a ball of fire and then put it out, and then I'll get with it. I don't mess with the Hershey's. I need a little bit higher class chocolate as well, I will say.
Good for you. Look, we only get one chance on this rock. You might as well live it up.
Live your life, yeah.
Chip, thank you so much for joining me. It was great to get to know you and to really try to figure out this sport of swim run so that we can educate some people into getting into it, because I know, look, bikes are expensive. So if you can skip that and get into multi-sport events like swim run, like why not do it?
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Jason. And yeah, if swim run sounded interesting to you, head on over to lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z, and we'll make sure that you're all set up for your first swim run or your 20th.
Awesome. Have a great night. Thanks, Chip.
Cool. Thanks, man.
For those of you that stuck around for that conversation, I hope your interest in swim run has been elevated. I know the first time I talked to Chip, I got super excited about the sport, and my excitement's even higher now. And I'm not kidding. Now that we live in Arizona, taking a look at how I can, facilitate my own practice swim run out in Lake Pleasant here in Phoenix is definitely on the to-do list. Stay tuned for next week's show. Stay tuned, or come back next week for next week's show. We'll be back here with another episode of the Fireside Chat. In the meantime, follow our program on Instagram at Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, and at Run Try Mag. It'll be in the show notes. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you and see you again next week. Have a great one, everybody.